Cities around the Pacific Rim are vulnerable to giant tsunami waves. Today, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center can alert coastal cities hours before disaster strikes.
The Pacific Rim is a powerhouse of trade and tourism, but many low-lying population centers are vulnerable to tsunamis, great waves which can strike the beaches with almost unimaginable force.
My mom was so terrified. I wanted to see what Mommy was so scared of. And I could see the water, and it was higher than our building.
In 1946, a tsunami roared into Hilo on the island of Hawaii without warning.
The next thing I remember was I am in this collapsed house in the river, just floating, and I could feel walls or debris all around me. And I'm saying, oh, is this how it feels to die?
Joan Shaw was one of the lucky ones. More than 150 people perished. Waves as high as 35 feet breached the seawall and devastated much of the town.
This place right here that we're looking at, we had a whole village of little houses and gardens. All this empty grassy area was just villages. And now look at it, it's just empty.
Tsunamis are caused by seismic activity along the seafloor. These generate waves which can move at the speed of a jet aircraft, up to 600 miles per hour. The 1946 tsunami traveled 2,300 miles from the Aleutian Islands in less than 5 hours.
There was no tsunami warning system in place at that time. In fact, as a result of that event, the U.S. tsunami warning system got started.
The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center monitors seismic activity to predict tidal events.
It's big.
Well, we just had an earthquake, looks like south of Alaska. Estimates put it at around 6.5 or 6.6.
Geophysicists here depend on reports from tide gauges, 25 satellite telemetered sites across the Pacific that measure changes in the sea level. Tsunamis appear on the gauges as abnormalities in the rise and fall of the tides.
The data is transmitted via the GOES satellite of the Department of Commerce to its downlink in Virginia, and then the data comes back to the warning centers in Alaska and in Hawaii and elsewhere.
Data is transmitted to the Maui High Performance Computing Center. Supercomputers generate wave simulations and inundation maps to help disaster planners prepare for future events. The technology will save lives, but it takes more than that.
No matter how good the warning system is, they just may choose to ignore it. But when you talk about what happened, then they'll begin to pay attention.
Here at the Pacific Tsunami Museum, survivors help make the digital systems more effective.
It's often very, very difficult and painful to share their stories, but they're going to help save lives in the future. There is absolute certainty we're going to be faced with another big destructive tsunami. It might not be for 10 years, but it could also be next week.
Taking a global digital journey together. We're the dot in .com.